Hello guys, welcome to another Hooked Gamers video review. This time it is for a game you can get on Xbox Live and PSN. It's called Stacking by Double Fine Studios. Much like the playable Matryoshka dolls in the game, Stacking is full of layers. It impresses with its gameplay, presentation and narrative. The combination of all three of these things is essentially what makes the game a great game. Starting off with this presentation, you can instantly see that Stacking stands out with this unique style that not only takes the greatest qualities of the current steampunk movement, but blends this with the delightful Matchbox world of the Matryoshka dolls. The game itself is set during the 1930s and has you play as a little boy called Charlie Blackmore. He is the youngest son of the working class family, and after they are all kidnapped by the evil industrial lord Baron, it is then up to him to rescue them. The story is told on a stage in the style of a silent film. In accordance with this style, the game does not have any voice dialogue, and after a while it does become a bit of a drag. However, the game does make up for it slightly by having a pretty good soundtrack. And apart from this one negative thing, the rest of the presentation is pretty much flawless, even down to having a pretty cool main menu. Fortunately, Stacking is not just one of those games that looks really good, but it plays really good as well. The main story of the game will take you to different freights where your siblings are being held to work as child labourers. The Royal train station in which you start off the game is actually acting as a hub, and from there you take different modes of transport to get to different locations such as a ship and a zeppelin. Upon arriving at these locations, it is then up to you to figure out a way to rescue your sibling. The odds are against Charlie as he is the smallest doll around, but he actually flips this into his advantage. He has the ability to stack into any of the dolls and then essentially become that doll. And you will soon discover that each doll that you stack into has a unique ability assigned to them. Each level then comes with a series of tasks that need to be solved by using these abilities. It can feel a little overwhelming at first, but when you start to get settled in, you realise that the game does offer you many hints. And if you do get really stuck, the game will simply tell you what you have to do. For those like me who like to challenge themselves, this can be avoided, as the hint system pretty much works on a you ask and get told kind of basis. Admittedly, you can rush through the main story of the game in a few hours, but the true depth of the game is not realised until you come back and replay some of the levels. The reason for this is that there are actually multiple solutions to each problem that you are tasked with. Encouraging you to find all of these solutions is a hobo called Levi. He may look a bit scruffy, but he actually considers himself a bit of an artist. He gets inspired by your adventures on the different freights to create a stage display in your honour. Therefore, every time you find a different solution to one of these problems, he adds an extra piece to a painting, and every time you find and become one of the unique dolls in each level, he then constructs its resemblance in a statue. What I truly love about Stacking though, is that it goes beyond the necessity and provides a number of dolls that are there simply for a laugh. You can just tell the developers really just want you to have fun in this little bizarre world they have created. By just playing around and exploring the different dolls that you can become, you will soon find that some of them are hilarious. You can go into crowds of dolls and flatulate and send them all flying. You can puke cookies over people's dresses. You can be the Pied Piper and lead kids around. It looks a bit dodgy, but it's pretty funny. Doing these nefarious actions actually becomes part of the game. The developers have provided a checklist of things that they call hijinks within the game, and there is one of these lists for each level in the game for you to try and complete. And it is this kind of thing that gives the game just such a tremendous personality. Not only are there a huge range of dolls to try out, there's mummies, there's magicians, bears, court judges, soldiers, and so on and so on and so on. But they all come with their own abilities, some of them hilarious, some of them not so hilarious, and you also have those multiple solutions to work out. And as well as working on just being a fun game, there is also an increased depth when you consider the different themes the actual narrative touches on. Obviously the main narrative goes out to prove that size doesn't matter, but it also touches on child labour, industrialisation, globalisation, the values of family, and many more I could probably list if I thought a little bit more about it. What I am trying to say though is that Stacking works on a number of different levels. It seems like a very obvious and stupid thing to say, but the Matryoshka dolls actually become a metaphor for the whole game. At the end of the day, it's a really rewarding experience. It goes out its way to engage its players on the two different ends of the spectrum. On the one hand, the game is just a load of fun, you can just play around for hours with it, but there is also that other side of it that really gets you thinking about things. And personally, I love games that have the ability to do this, and it's not very often they crop up, so when they do, I'm going to shout about it. I doubt I have to tell you by now, but the pros of the game are that it is literally stacked with so many layers. It just hits you on so many different levels that you just cannot help but appreciate it. Sometimes I didn't like the movement of the dolls, sometimes it felt a little bit fast, a little bit stiff, but that was really not an issue, to be honest with you. I mean, this is no platformer, I wasn't asked to balance along a plank or anything like that, so it wasn't really that much of an issue. The only other thing, like I said before, was there's no voice dialogue. Even though it is fitting with the style of the game, it felt a little bit, well, it just dragged a little bit later on. And if I was being really picky, I would say sometimes you have to search around the environments a little bit too long, trying to find the right doll for the right solution. But like I said, the game does give you many hints if you want them, so that was probably me just being stubborn as usual. As you can tell, I would pretty much recommend everyone to try this game out. I can certainly understand that some people might be put off by its style, it might come across as a little bit pretentious at times. However, the game is not like that at all, it is really fun, and it offers you a whole sense of discovery and satisfaction in solving all the puzzles, and collecting all the different dolls, and performing all those hilarious hijinks. If you do want to read my full review of the game, please go to hookedgamers.com. And with that, I bid you farewell, and I'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.